Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to Coffee with Craig, where we talk about all things firearms, firearms policy, politics, culture, media, you name it, we're talking about it right here on Coffee with Craig. So please take a moment, like and share the program so that your friends can know where the conversation is taking place. Also, please make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And in the case of YouTube and Facebook, make sure you hit that notification button. That way you get notified as soon as we go live, and you can participate in the live chat as the program is taking place. Also, please make it a point to visit fpcgear.com. That's fpcgear.com. It is the place to go to get all of your Pro 2A swag. I'm talking T-shirts, coffee mugs, hoodies, you name it. It's right there. It's all there. All you need to do is check it out. And the best part about it is every dollar that you spend goes right back into the fight for our right to keep and bear arms. So you can support the Second Amendment and you can look good doing it. That's fpcgear.com. All right, so we all know that, well, we're in some challenging times now, aren't we? We know that, more people are deciding to take advantage of or to utilize or to exercise. There you go. Let's use this better term. To exercise their fundamental right to keep and bear arms. Now, why they're doing it? Well, we all know whether it's the Rona or whether it's riots in the streets, whether it's an increase in crime in general and violent crime specifically, or just the government's deciding that they're not actually going to enforce the law. People are deciding that it's important for them to be able to exercise their fundamental human right of self-defense. Well, leave it to our good friends over at Everytown. That's Everytown for Gun Safety. Keep that name in mind. But leave it to our folks over at Everytown for Gun Safety to want us to believe, or to try and lead people to believe, well, guess what? That's right. More people are purchasing firearms, which means that more people support gun control. Wait, what? Yes, more people support gun control. Well, according to Everytown. So here's what they had to say on the topic. With protesters being shot in the streets and gun violence on the rise, more guns is not the recipe for public safety, said Nick Suplina, well, whatever it is. Anyway, managing director of law and policy at Everytown for Gun Safety. All right, so I once again, I just find it interesting. I think what's interesting about this whole thing is that they start off by making the case for more gun control. They're talking about protesters being shot in the streets, and trust me, I'm not even going to get into the whole Rittenhouse situation because, well, I know how y'all feel about it, and I'm pretty sure, at least I hope y'all know how I feel about it. But, self-defense does not equal being shot. Anyway, the point being is that clearly he's pointing out in his quote right here that there is increased violence, right? That there's violence that is going on, that's taking place in the streets of America, that America is not as safe as it was, February 2020. And, one would think that would lead to people understanding and recognizing the need to exercise their fundamental right to keep and bear arms. And quite frankly, they have. As, we've seen a dramatic increase in the number of people who purchase firearms. I don't think anybody denies that. Anyway, so then he goes on. Fortunately, polls show this jump in sales leads more Americans to support common sense gun safety laws, which is bad news for every 2020 candidate who is still taking orders from the gun lobby, starting with President Trump. All right, so I have absolutely no idea what polls this Nimrod is looking at, or this, I have no idea what polls he could possibly be looking at. I'll give you an example. There was a Rasmussen poll that was done. Now, this poll was done in August of 2019. Nearly 2/3 of the poll respondents agreed with the idea that more gun laws are needed. But just a year later, this is a few weeks ago, or about a month ago, right? August 2020, it had dropped 12 points to 54%. So I'm curious exactly what polls is Mr. Suplina is Everytown looking at that leads them to believe that more people want more gun control? I just don't see it. What it is, I think it is wishful thinking. That's exactly what it is. They hope that more people want more gun laws. The first thing is there a lot of people are just frustrated because they don't seem to be enforcing the laws that they have. They don't seem to be enforcing any laws right now, unless, of course, you want to walk, unless you want to congregate in public, unless you want to hang out with more than 10 people at a time, or unless you don't want to wear a mask. Those seem to be the only laws they're interested in enforcing. All other laws, well, they seem to be optional. All right, but it doesn't stop them. I mean, they go on their thoughts and ideas. Gun sales have been surging since the pandemic began, so it's impossible to identify the exact reason for this month's sales, said Rob Wilcox, Deputy Director of Policy and Strategy for Everytown. Really? Didn't your homeboy just let you know? Didn't he just tell you that there's an increase in violence, that people are being shot in the streets? And by the way, just to denote, it wasn't just Rittenhouse. I mean, literally, there are protesters who are shooting other protesters. I'm sure y'all heard of the little girl who got shot because her mom wanted to go around a BLM barricade. They shot into the car and they killed a child. These are the streets of America right now, folks. And not that it wasn't happening before. Stuff like this wasn't happening before, but now it's happening at an even greater rate, which once again explains why more people are purchasing firearms. In particular, people who've never owned one before. But that kind of logic and reasoning is lost on guys like this. But it is clear that President Trump and gun companies are recklessly fear-mongering every day, which is dangerous and wrong at a time when the threat of gun violence is on the rise and hospitals are overflowing with patients. Okay, actually, some hospitals in areas where there are COVID hotspots are overflowing. But for the most part, in most places, there are more than enough hospital beds to handle COVID. So, no, they're not overflowing. Gun violence is up, but it's not being committed or perpetrated by law-abiding citizens. And if we want to talk about fear-mongering, all right, I get that they just want to kind of downplay everything that's going on because they don't want people worried. They don't want people concerned. They don't want people to be concerned that in cities that have gun control as a major part of their policy, that limit the ability of citizens and individuals to be able to defend themselves, we get that they want to downplay that. But come on. Can we please be real? I mean, that you literally have mobs, hundreds of mobs and riots. You have people in major cities who are burning down people's businesses, destroying their livelihoods, who are attacking people, who are getting in people's faces and randomly attacking them, declaring that they declare their support for a particular political cause. I don't want to speak to the legitimacy of that political cause, but they are literally rioting and tearing things up, and they are attacking people right and left. And yet, we're fear-mongering? Did you not start off your whole conversation, Everytown, by saying that gun violence is on the rise, that violence is on the rise, that there are protests, not just protests, riots and looting? And yet somehow you want to make people who simply want to defend themselves, you want to make them the guilty ones. You want to say that it's fear-mongering, but you're the ones that are pointing to fiery, mostly peaceful protests. Well, folks, let me just be real with you. If these protests are mostly peaceful, I would really hate to see what a violent protest looks like. Just saying. So anyway, we can see that, truth isn't their thing. We know that. We know that the only way in which they get they get anti-gun laws passed is by lying. Lying about the facts, lying about the statistics, lying about what people believe and where people are. The question is, are you going to call them on it? Are we going to call them on it? That's why FPC is here. That's why we host the show. That's why I host this show, so that we can reveal their lies for exactly what they are so that we can reveal them for lies. I hope you will help me by doing the same. Anyway, folks, that's going to be it for today's Coffee with Craig. We very much appreciate you tuning in. We appreciate you liking and sharing the program and telling your friends about the Firearms Policy Coalition. We are the home in the fight for civil rights. Got to use them or you're going to lose them. You guys take care.
If you like our videos, follow, subscribe, like, and share.